NBC 15 News at 11 starts now.
Now at 11, a Madison cold case possibly solved. More on the new DNA evidence in Brittany Zimmerman's murder investigation as her parents speak out. Plus, Apple is ordered to unlock an alleged terrorist cell phone as authorities continue to investigate the San Bernardino terror attacks. And scary moments for some subway riders in Boston after a piece from one of the cars falls onto the tracks. Good morning, everyone. I'm Ashley Matthews. We begin with some developing news. There's new information surrounding one of Madison's unsolved murder cases. The parents of Brittany Zimmerman say there's new DNA evidence in their daughter's homicide case. Brittany was stabbed to death 8 years ago in her Doty Street apartment. She called 911, but a dispatcher hung up on her because she didn't hear anyone on the other end of the line and couldn't track the call. Her death led to big changes at Dane County's 911 center. Brittany's mother, Jean, is tired of keeping quiet on the new developments despite the Madison Police Department's request.
There are people out there who know who did this, who may, in a roundabout way have heard something about Brittany's murder, and we have to hope that at one point they do the right thing.
DNA match points to a person possibly behind the murder, but her parents are not releasing the name because the DA isn't prepared to file charges just yet. There is a $40,000 reward for anyone who provides information that leads to the arrest and conviction. Meantime, Madison police say they are not ready to make an arrest. New at 11, a Madison man suspected of attempting to rob a Madison family has been arrested. 31-year-old Rollo Prince is facing attempted armed robbery charges. He's one of two men who reportedly broke into a home on Montana Drive near the end of January. The other suspect, who is still at large, is accused of shooting a 36-year-old man while the man's wife was beaten. Children were in the home at the time, but they were not hurt.
This is your Weather Authority forecast.
Temperatures have been climbing nicely this morning. We bottomed out at 8 degrees early, and it's going to be overall a cool day by seasonal standards. The average high is 32 degrees for this time of year, and we are going to end up below that. As you can see, nothing on Sky Tracker. It's 23 right now, so we've moved up 15 degrees from that 8-degree low this morning. Feels like 16, though. We have east-northeasterly winds at 6 miles per hour. They're going to hang right around 5 through the day. As you can see, a lot of sunshine coming up for this afternoon. Warmer temps later this week, and I'll have that for you in a few minutes.
Charlie, thank you. Happening today, a vigil will be held for a Portage woman who was shot and killed in Columbia County. 41-year-old Tracy Krieger was found dead Monday morning in the Ridge Motor Inn in Portage. Police tracked down and arrested Tracy's estranged husband, 51-year-old Kevin Krieger, in a white Jeep that was spotted leaving the scene. The couple was in the middle of a divorce. Krieger is facing first-degree intentional homicide charges. Tracy's vigil is tonight at 7 p.m. at the Ridge Motor Inn in Portage. An Edgerton man accused of making a Janesville mall bomb threat late last year is expected in court today. 22-year-old Ryan Flory was arrested last month after a lengthy investigation. Mall shoppers were evacuated after Janesville police received a call just days after Thanksgiving. Flory's initial appearance is at 1 this afternoon. He's facing felony bomb scare charges. A Wausau man's trial has resumed today for sexual assault crimes he allegedly committed 2 decades ago. 92-year-old Edward Heckendorf is facing 5 felony charges of sexual assault of a child under the age of 13. Prosecutors say he sexually assaulted 2 girls between 1983 and 1994. Heckendorf declined a plea deal before the trial began. The government versus tech giant Apple. Is the company taking a strong stand for its customers or making it harder for law enforcement to keep us safe? Apple is fiercely opposing a court order to unlock the iPhone used by one of the San Bernardino shooters. NBC's Steve Patterson has more.
A federal judge Tuesday ordered tech giant Apple to help the FBI unlock the iPhone of San Bernardino mass shooter Syed Farook. The judge ruled Apple must provide reasonable technical assistance to authorities in accessing the data on Farook's iPhone. Authorities are still trying to fill in the 18 missing minutes of the killer's actions after the shooting.
And that 18 minutes is critical.
The FBI wants to know if anything on the phone can fill in that gap and if there are any other clues to the plot that left 14 people dead and 22 wounded. Just last week, FBI Director James Comey told the Senate panel getting into Farook's phone is key.
We still have one of those killer's phones that we have not been able to open. Right? It's been over 2 months now. We're still working on it.
Overnight, Apple's Tim Cook released a statement saying it's cooperated with the FBI on the case, but will fight the order, saying, quote, the United States government has demanded that Apple take an unprecedented step which threatens the security of our customers. We oppose the order, which has implications far beyond the legal case at hand. Cook has been an adamant opponent of opening phones to the government, telling CBS's 60 Minutes it would make us all vulnerable.
On your smartphone today, on your iPhone, there's likely health information, there's financial information, and you should have the ability to protect it. And the only way we know how to do that is to encrypt it. Why is that? It's because if there's a way to get in, then somebody will find the way in.
And that was Steve Patterson reporting. Scary moments for some subway riders in Boston. They were on an Orange Line train last night when a metal body panel of one of the cars fell onto the track. The train ran over the panel, causing it to become disabled. The panel then hit the third rail, causing the electrical motor to overheat. There was no fire, but the heat caused smoke to fill the cars. Doors would not open, so passengers began kicking out windows to evacuate. Luckily, there were no injuries reported. An American Airlines plane clipped the tail of a Southwest plane in Detroit early this morning. The wing of the American Airlines Boeing 737 struck the Southwest plane, also a Boeing 737, in a de-icing area at Detroit Metropolitan Airport. There are no reports of injuries on either plane. Both flights were en route to Dallas. Passengers were moved to other planes. For the second time in weeks, major airlines are hiking airfares. It started last week when JetBlue raised prices by $6 per round trip. This week, Delta, United, and American Airlines followed suit. It's the second successful increase this year. The first was in January. Last year, U.S. Airlines raised prices 2 times for a total increase of $14.